Well, it's really to be a guide, and yet when I say guide, I don't take people round the cottage. Now that these last 2 years I've been dressed in costume, they walk in and instead of seeing Mary Dodd, they see Granny Mary. The character really came about when I was coming in here for the educational visits with the school children. That's how Granny Mary came about. But it was a different character, really, although she was called the same thing, Granny Mary. She was a different character. She'd lived in here, and the children would come and see me, and we'd just talk about what it was like living in here, you know, because they'd come. They were always, of course, before they left the first group, before they become secondary school children. But over the years, I've had so much pleasure. Children's curiosity it's there all the time, you know. And this particular day, there was these two children, boy, one girl. And I think it was the boy first that stood and looked at me. And he said, "Well, how old are you? How long have you been here?" And it really is thinking on your feet when you've got this kind of situation coming up. I said, "Well, let me think now. I can't really remember. I seem to have been here ever such a long time." And, you know, you ponder and you talk with the child, and yeah, well, he was satisfied with all those answers, and off he went. And the little girl wanted to know, did I never get lonely? Was I never lonely? And I said, "No, child, I don't get lonely because I get visits from groups of children like yourself." And it's amazing how quickly you can slot into a character like this, and you do become. You're not acting, at least I'm not. It seems as though it's there and you're talking to the children. But that morning, it was a very busy morning, and there was a lot of children in, but these two were really into this. One of the questions that I'm asked constantly is it haunted? Have I ever seen anything in here? But only once, and that will be, I think it will be 2 years ago, coming up for this summer. And I was very aware that there was someone coming in through that front door. I couldn't have told you who they were, other than they were a man. And I thought, well, where's he going to go? Came in through the front door quite clearly, but not clear that I could see how he was really dressed, but that I could see that he was a man. And he came in and he went straight up those stairs. And I thought, well, he knows where he wants to be, so we'll just leave it at that. And that is the only time, all those years that I've been in here, that I've seen anything. I've felt things before, but not seen them. I wonder sometimes how it's getting on a cold, wet, horrible night. I always say, hello, house. Hello, old house. It's good to be back. I hope you haven't been too cold and that your roof's not been leaking too much during the winter. I think it's ridiculous, really, I know. I think of it as another person. I'll be very sad. It may have already happened for all I know. I may not have a job when the season starts this year. I don't know what is going to happen with the cottage. I hope if I am well enough, I can go on a little bit longer. If I'm not, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't think I'd want to come up Castle Hill if I know that that's it. This isn't going to be Granny Mary's cottage anymore, But we've all got to give up work at some point, I suppose.
There I had a box with the stationery, letterheads were here in a tray. The typewriter in the middle, but there was something in every. The envelopes were in there. Right. Well, the middle one, there was envelopes with our address on, J. Atkinson Company, China Street, which I used to put in with an invoice, so that they didn't need to address an envelope, they need just put the check in. And ordinary envelopes. That's the ruler that I used to rule the ledger off with. That's the receipt book. See, and I kept a copy. That's my writing. I was in London, in Regent Street. There was the tea centre. And I went there and said who I was. I was treated like a VIP. I should think so. They knew the firm, because this was the Grasshopper tea house, and there's only two trades in the whole of England with the grasshopper for its trademark. Really? And that's, I think it's one of the banks. And I used to get letters just to address the Grasshopper Tea House, Lancaster. And it always used to arrive. When I first came here, it came up on the train. You could buy your tea in Mincing Lane at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and next morning it would be on the doorstep in. And that was fun, because it was brought from Lancaster Station by the drayman with his horse. And that horse, every day, irrespective of whether there was anything for us or not, would stop at our door. And Mr. Riley, of course, being a horseman, he always had a piece of sugar for it. The Ministry of Food exempted me from going into the forces. And but after 12 months, that was revoked, and I was called up. And in the undertakers across the road, they had a secretary. Dorothy was a good friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, I'd love to come and work with you, Lillian." And so that's how that happened. Jim, who was the main man in the warehouse, he said, "Get Dorothy to come across." And so I did, and she had 24 hours to learn my job, more or less. Really? But anyway, I used to ring her every when I first went into the Air Force, the first month. I used to ring her at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then she was ready with all the questions. I'm coming home. Well, when you've come into a building every day for so many years, it is home, isn't it?
67 years.
When you think I spent as much time in here as I did at home.